Welcome back to Hudson Valley Week in Review. I'm Amy Greene. We continue now with a new law being discussed focusing on repeated false alarms at businesses and homes in Ulster County. Under the measure, if an alarm poses to be false, that homeowner or business owner would either be warned or fined based on how many times a false alarm goes off. The legislation is part of an effort to lower the number of times police and firefighters are dispatched to those types of situations. Legislature Chairman John Preet introduced the measure and talk to us more about it.
The proposed law is, in essence, is trying to help ensure the safety and welfare and security of our emergency services people, the fire departments and the police department. They respond to thousands of what turn out to be false alarms, automatic alarms that are triggered by various glitches in the system, either internally because of a quick dip in the electric power, and they respond. And I mean, the Sheriff's Department, I think so far this year has responded to over 600 what turned out to be false alarms. And that's certainly a use of our scarce resources, both our police agencies and our fire agencies. It's also a hazard and a danger to the firemen and the policemen that are responding with a certain amount of haste or focus to something that didn't happen. And of course, they don't know it didn't happen until they get there. And I believe with the technology now that these things can be corrected. The other half is that it sometimes can tend to desensitize the very people you want to respond. I mean, if you're a fireman in particular, that are almost all volunteers, or a policeman, and you get the same call, 3558 Route 28, Boyceville, once every month or two or three, after a while you go, well, I'm not going to go. I mean, I know where it is, or I'll just take my time, and it's not a good thing. And the volunteers that man the emergency services are stretched thin. Those folks have so much continuing education they have to do just to be able to maintain their ability to help us, that it's time now to address this issue. The committee passed this form of the resolution to move forward to the other committees for discussion. There was, some debate over how many calls there are, and of course I have them here, but I could go down the litany of them, but I don't want to bother you with that. But everybody, or almost everybody, recognizes that this should be addressed. It's a great service to be able to have these automatic alarms monitoring your facility and maybe alert the authorities if you're not there, or maybe when you're not aware that something's wrong. But by the same token, I like to say that if you're forearmed is forewarned. And do you correct it? I have right here a parking ticket that I got, a parking meter ticket downstairs. I think it's $20. Now I'm going to make sure that I have the money in the meter, so I correct my mistake for not having enough time left on the meter. That's kind of what we're talking about. Accept the responsibility ourselves to try to make life better for the emergency service people. Well, another day, another dollar. I mean, every day we have, sometimes there's different folks in there. Maybe there's a different awareness. Maybe a little bit different sense of emergency awareness that there is a problem and it's not going away. And I think it makes sense. because of technology, more and more people are investing in these home or business protection devices. And if more folks start putting them in, and the false alarm, quote, grows exponentially with the number of installations, then we could be looking at something that just has to be corrected in a more serious way. So I think it's time. In 2010, the number was 1,252. 2011, 1,233. 2012, 1,200. Did I say 12,000? Oh, it's 1,202. In 2013, let's see, in 2009, the 3 New York State police barracks in Ulster County handled approximately 1,500. So there's plenty of alarms, plenty of incidents, and kind of remember that almost every one of those also gets a response from the fire services, because it's not about this is not reported burglaries. They're automatic alarms that the fire service oftentimes responds to. I can tell you this, up where we are, for a period of time, anytime it seemed like a tree limb dropped across the line, or a squirrel might have grounded out the electric line. You know, sometimes you see in your house there's a dip, boom, boom. The alarm would go off from the school. And it happened regularly. So sometimes the firemen just didn't even want to go. Now, it's not happening anymore. It was corrected. This was a while ago. But most of it's correctable. Well, they are going to the right place. They know where the alarm is. I mean, the alarm will come over and it'll say automatic alarm 500 Coldbrook Road, and they'll go there. But if it happens 2 or 3 times, or 4 times, or 5 times, that's the issue right now. They respond vigorously and seriously to all the alarms. But to me, there's a danger here. When you have folks moving, Mach Schnell down the road, they might have an automobile accident. Somebody could pull in their path. And many of them are volunteers who are giving up their time and effort, and gladly so. And from my point of view, as a member of the community, I thank them. I mean, I was in the fire department for 25 years when I had the ability to lift those hoses and do things. So I don't think it's exactly fair to them, who are dedicating so much of their lives, these men and women, to ignore this. And that's why we're going down this road. That's open for debate. That's open for debate. 2 or 3 is what we're talking about, but, we'll be discussing that with the sheriff and the other police agencies and the fire people to see if that's the right number. The proposal is, after the warnings, after discussion and hopefully corrective action, there will be some penalties, much like I said, my parking ticket. Yes, you have to correct it, and so there will be some penalties. This is not a money-making scheme. This is not the purpose of it. And quite frankly, my purpose isn't to talk about the gas and the oil that is used by the fire department or police agents to respond. That's not what we're talking about. It's the time and energy and risks associated with it, and if there are too many repeat problems, it desensitizes the guy there and the women and men that work there, and it lessens the sense of urgency, which is not a good thing. Right now, if somebody filed an application for a food service permit in Ulster County and they were 1 day late, they're subject to a fine of $50 or $100. I'm not sure what it is. If they want to appeal that, they appeal it to the health department. They don't go to some court system. They don't go to the local town judge or to the county court. They go into the health department and they'll have 1 or 2 or 3 folks there say, all right, what's up? And you explain why you were 1 day late or 5 days late, or why you put it on the wrong form, and they'll render a decision. And I suppose an argument could be made is that they really don't care what your reasoning is. They're just going to say guilty, but I don't believe that's the case. Well, there's 2 or 3 more committees it has to go to. The Finance Committee probably will get another little bit of a hearing in the Criminal Justice in case they want to refine it a little bit, because there's no rush with this. It doesn't have to be done yesterday. And we're going to be consulting with the fire departments. I've spoken to several of them already, the fire department leadership and the police agencies, and put the finished product in front of the legislature for their consideration and debate. When we're through with this later on this month or next month, I have been working for over a year on a campaign finance reform. The county executive mentioned in his speech a year and a half ago, and I mentioned it when I became the chair, that it's a priority for me to try to assure the public, after all of the bad publicity around New York State and the nation on the abuses and misuses of campaign money and campaign donations, that we address it. We cannot change state law. We cannot come up with ideas that folks might think are nice or feel good or showy. But there's a lot of things that we can do, I believe, to make the public aware of exactly how we're financing our campaigns, exactly who our friends and neighbors are, and who may or may not be involved because of disclosure laws. And my position is that some laws like to prevent you or the donor from contributing to me. An emphasis that I want to put forward is I shouldn't accept it if I have a potential conflict. So you'll be hearing more about this. We're putting the finishing touches on it. I will say that it's certainly from a legislative perspective. And here in Ulster County, we represent somewhere in the neighborhood of 8,500 people in each of the 23 districts. We don't need to raise a lot of money most of the time. But as a candidate, you do have to get your message out. And that's our system. If I was running for office or you were running for office, you either have to use some of your own money or ask your friends and neighbors or people who are like-minded to help you get your message out so the voters have a choice or have the opportunity to make their concerns known. But when you get to different levels, when you're running for the vote of representing 180,000 people, or at the state level, the higher level, then there's a lot of concerns. We don't have that much, but we better start trying to have something in place that's ethically sound and financially realistic.
When we come back, we'll check news making headlines in Ulster County. Stay with us.